Great. Let me bring up one more issue, and this impacts all of us as a nation, and it's really critical in our urban communities as well. But we've seen it, violence prevention, and you've been a champion. You've talked to us about it. But from an education standpoint, what would you tell our counties on what we can do, since it's at our grassroots level, and how do we connect to make sure our neighbors are safe and moving forward as well?
In terms of the virus?
The violence, the virus.
Oh, violence.
Yes, yes.
Violence.
Violence, yes.
Oh, well, you're on the front line, all of you. And so it's really important to listen. When I met with some of my California, and how many Californians are here? We have some Californians here? Okay. Do we have any Marylanders here? I'm being Marylander. Here's the thing. What I know, as I was telling them, years ago I was chair of the California Democratic Party, and we have 58 counties in California, of all different, from the smallest to the largest counties in the country. So recognizing that the challenges that are faced are different depending on locality and size and demography and the rest of that. So again, your role in how we can address this problem, because we take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, and the inference to be drawn from that is the people. And if people aren't safe, I mean, they have to feel safe.
That's right.
So we, of course, we want to address the underlying causes of violence and the rest, but how we address that, again, the ideas that spring from your communities are very important for us to hear, because we don't want to do public policy that has some unforeseen consequences that are really not contributing to the solution. So in any event, and this may be different, and it is in California, but I will say it anyway, we do really believe that the numbers are very high in the country. 85% of American people, Democrats, Republicans, independents, gun owners, hunters, collectors, and all the rest, support background check legislation. And we would hope that that would be a shared value. Because it is, again, it's not Democratic or Republican. Most people who have guns have registered in the background checks, and many lives have been saved because many guns have not been sold because of it over time. I was in Congress when we passed the Brady bill the first time, which was about background checks, among other things, broader than what we're trying to do now. But we did not foresee, because when we passed that bill, there was no Telecommunications Act, which created the internet, so we couldn't foresee internet sales. We were respectful of gun shows as sort of where collectors go and that, but we didn't see that it would become a place where background checks could be totally ignored and dangerous. So I say to you, again, we would hope that the Congress would be as bipartisan as the American people are on this regard, and it is a very important part of stopping violence in our country. But we also have other challenges in terms of the drug usage in our country. It is just, I mean, as I travel the country, I meet with all law enforcement and the rest, many of them, shall we say, not of my party, but wanting to come and make sure I understood what was happening in the heartland of America with not just drug usage, but drug production and the rest. And that is, and how we sentence it. You know, we're sentencing the small fish and letting the big fish get away. I mean, this is something that we have to be smart about. Drug usage, gun violence, and the rest. And of course, we want to address the underlying causes in our community of various injustices that exist. But in terms of, it's different in different parts of the country in terms of the use of drugs. It's also different in terms of how people are sentenced, and we have to do it right so that we get rid of the problem. I used to say to my colleagues, you want to run for president? You run for president on one subject: stopping the use of drugs in our country. Because you can't, there's not enough money in the world to, and it doesn't work to just say we're going to eradicate the cocoa crop, or we're going to stop it from coming into the country. That cost a fortune, both of them, and they haven't worked. Or we're going to incarcerate. Well, how do you do that in a way that would improve the situation? It hasn't. However, treatment on demand, and of course prevention first and foremost. Prevention. So again, we come back to healthcare and education and fairness in our economy, where we have a sense of community. And you all are the personification of a sense of a community in our country. And that's why I'm so happy to be with you today, because you have your different, I mean, some of the counties have differences within the counties of some of these challenges, and some are smaller and have a different approach than a neighboring county. All of it essential as an intellectual resource for how we address this. But we have to honor that oath to protect. If we don't have safety for our people, I mean, that's our first responsibility in every way, globally and locally.